Hi everyone, I'm Sanjana. I'm the Fireside Chat Coordinator for J&J, and I'm here with Marty with another Fireside Chat. Marty, thank you so much for joining us.
You're quite welcome. It's my pleasure to meet with you and to share some thoughts on myself in my business career, as well as where I've come from, is where I've, kind of gotten to my position at where I am at today.
Awesome. All right. So first, tell us about your educational and professional backgrounds and the path that you took to get to where you are today.
Sure. So first, let me introduce myself. My name is Marty Gately. I work for PSEG Long Island, on Long Island in New York. And my title is Senior Principal Product Consultant in the Information Technology Group. And my background is I have a Bachelor of Science in Math Education. So you would have thought I might have actually gone into education, but I did not. I had actual opportunities to do that. But what happened was when I graduated, I actually went into work for an insurance company. It was kind of mixed feelings about, with a math education degree. I was actually certified to be a teacher from kindergarten up through 12th grade. So I did have a math discipline with the education piece. And so when I first got out, I started working for an insurance company. And admittedly, like I said, I was kind of one of those things where I knew I loved math. I wanted to stay in that kind of a field. And of course, you go to headhunters and they say, okay, well, looks like you have an affinity for math. Let's throw you into the actuarial sciences. And I took two of those tests. I said, I like math, but that was a little bit, to a path I didn't want to go down, and a little bit over my head, I guess I'll say. So what happened was at the insurance company, I stayed there for 2 years in a role of a math analyst. And then after that, they actually had offered a training program for the information technology to become a developer, which was great. So what I did was I attended that, passed that class, and then I stayed for another 2.5 or so years at the insurance company and was a program developer in the information technology group. Then after that, I left the insurance company, and then I'm now at the same company I've been at for 35 plus years, which is probably a rarity in these days that somebody stays at one company. But what happens is in the utility industry, there's been many mergers and acquisitions. So even though I'm technically with the same company, I'm on the fifth name of the company that I'm with right now. So at the PSEG Long Island. So hence my career has taken me all throughout the information technology industry, I'll call it. I started out as a developer, writing code, things like that. I then went on to become a what we call like an IT consultant, where I kind of represented the business, even though I was in IT, but I would kind of like do marketing, things like that for various aspects of the customer area, call centers, marketing, things like that. I then went kind of back more IT centric and became a project manager, and then also went on to become more or less like a portfolio manager for a lot of the IT areas that I had worked with, which was transmission distribution, customer area focus, and things like that. And now that I'm with PSEG Long Island, I'm kind of back doing project management again, but I'm now more not just from an application perspective, but also from an infrastructure perspective. So pipes and wires and things like that. So that's what I'm doing right now. So that's kind of the short abridged version of my career and how I got there, as far as how I started, went along, furthered my, education that way. I only have a Bachelor of Science. I graduated with a Bachelor of Science degree from SUNY Oneonta, New York, and it was a wonderful experience. And I'll tread back a little bit, where I did say that I did actually get 2 job offers to teach in middle schools where I had gotten out. Actually, I take it back. One was middle school, one was my former high school. And I decided not to do that because I figured I'd stay in the business world at that point. So hence here I am right now. So, okay. Hopefully that helps.
That's awesome. Wow. And it's cool to see that you were able to sort of dip your feet in a bunch of different areas and fields and jobs. And I think that it's important to keep in mind that that's also a path that one can take. A lot of times I feel like it's easy to get caught up in this idea of like, you need to stick in one field and stick with one job and kind of, make yourself or like build yourself up like that. But it's also cool to hear stories about people that do a lot of different things and end up really loving what they do in the end. So it's great to hear that.
Correct. Yeah, it's actually just to kind of expand on what you said. I think what was very important to me was, yes, I did love math, but I had a very analytical mind and background. and also love problem solving. And that's one of the reasons I love getting into information technology, because a lot of times what happens is you have the business come to you with a problem. It's all about, okay, I want to go do this. Can you do this for me? Okay, well, it's one of those things where you design something, you build it, you introduce it, you test it, and then you put it into what we call production, and just makes the business easier to, perform their jobs and to do the jobs properly. And, especially in today's world, to me, one of my favorite phrases is information technology is great, quote unquote, when it works. So, but I think today, as you've seen, and many other people have seen, where information technology is really ruling the world as far as how things progress, and and what we're doing, and how our lives are managed. Per se, like you look at the whole Tesla industry. It's amazing what's going on there with electric vehicles and things of that nature, and what the capabilities are with our iPhones and what we can do. In fact, somebody the other day was showing me a picture of their first cell phone, mobile phone. It was like this case about yay big. He says, I feel like I'm going to war or something, And then you look at today, the capabilities of an iPhone, and I'll show you, of course, like this. It's incredible. The power that is, in these devices is just amazing. So sorry if I segue there a little bit, but yeah.
No, absolutely.
So,
You made some great points.
okay. Yeah.
So my next question for you is, did you have any significant extracurricular experiences in high school and or college that you felt really helped you later on in your career?
Yeah, I think a couple of things. I guess I'll start with high school. And one of the biggest things, and of course, that's what junior achievement is really all about, espousing the volunteerism thing, is I really love to volunteer and to interact with people. Just to kind of go back to the information technology piece, it's great. I think you have a lot of smart people. It's like one of those things where you put them in a box, or you put them in a room. Okay, go code and make something. But to me, the more important thing, as I alluded to earlier, was about the whole understanding of what the business does. So I think if you can have smart communication skills and not be afraid to communicate, and to be able to listen and to respond back as to what someone does. So having good listening skills, taking that listening skills, but also being able to digest it. And like I say, then to respond back and to say, okay, I heard you say this. This is exactly what you want. That kind of a thing. I think that's the most important thing. And so just harking back to volunteerism, and I actually found that very rewarding. Just dealing with, so I volunteered with things like Meals on Heels program, where what we did was we actually took meals once a week to inbound seniors. And in many cases, those folks, we were the only people they saw. So of course, you only had your lunchtime to do the work. But unfortunately, some of them, because you're the only face you're seeing, they grab onto you and sit and want to talk to you, and that kind of a thing. So again, granted, that was with seniors. Another particular volunteer thing I had done was they would bring in, I guess, people from, I guess, like kind of like disabled or handicapped homes, bring them into my high school, and we volunteer with them for a day, put them through activities, kind of talk to them, just interact with them. And to me, that's the most important part. It goes back to the communication aspect. And I also had also volunteered, I was a volunteer because I read a newspaper column from my school newspaper. Thought it was important too, because the same kind of thing as projecting ideas, reporting on things, seeing you work out there in publication, I thought was great. I think another key piece too is trying to align yourself with mentors. I think it's important that I think quite a few the mentors I've had through my educational career have been teachers, and especially the people who've taken the time to kind of guide you through things, whether it's literature, whether it's types of mathematics, things like that. I think that's another very important thing. Because of the fact that, granted, they're teachers, but they can also guide you to a different aspect of a career. So it's very, very tough sometimes. I know that many kids coming out of high school, it's like, okay, now what do I do? I know I should go to college, but the key important thing is to do your research, understand kind of what you think you want to do. Of course, number one, you want to love it, what you're going to be doing, okay? But you also want to make sure it's a good career choice, and do your research, talk to people, and align yourself with a mentor if you can, whether it's a teacher, whether it's a friend of a friend who can kind of guide you, but ask questions. I think that's one of the most important things is do research with particular career paths you actually want to go after. I'll talk through, I guess I could have probably answered this in the beginning, but one of my first career choices, actually, people will laugh at this, was I actually thought about becoming an undertaker. and getting in the funeral business. And my mom would look at me like, what is it? I don't know what it was at the time, but I just harken back. I must have had an affinity for death or something. I don't know what it was. But one of my dad's friends had a friend who worked in the business, and they invited me into the business. And I kind of looked around, didn't see everything, what was happening, whatever. But they made sure, again, just another example of get your feet wet, understand what pieces of the business are, So with that kind of swayed me away from that. And that's one of the reasons. But, I just use it as an example as far as having someone, kind of invite you in, get your feet wet and understand exactly what that piece of the business is. And I think that's one of the, not to give a full critique of our educational system today, but I think many times you don't have enough practical work that's going on, practical applications like finance, how to balance checkbooks, or a skill or a skill like lumber, plumbing, and things like that. I think we need more of that, whether it's at the high school level or even at the secondary level. I think to me, those are really skills it's a dying breed in some cases, Just one example, my son-in-law is actually an engineer by trade, but his grandfather had taught him lumber, as far as, not lumber, what's the term he used, but woodworking. Okay. And what happened was he's actually started up his own little Etsy shop with it. In fact, his Etsy shop has gotten so big, they've actually had to move stuff that they had for their kids in his garage out to a new shelter outside. So they actually bought a whole new shelter. So it's like I said, it's one of those things where given his druthers, he would love to do this full time, but he realizes, of course, it's not going to pay the bills. But at least he was that kind of an entrepreneur, or he started up an Etsy shop, and he's done some, quite some good stuff. Give a little plug here. It's called J&L Woodworking. It's in Connecticut, and it's on Etsy. So he's got some really good stuff out there. So hopefully I answered the question. So.
Yeah, I completely echo whatever you said.
Yeah.
And I think the concept of mentorship is super important as well. Like I know
Yes.
I have amazing mentors that have helped me so far throughout my college experience. And to all the students out there listening, definitely find yourself a mentor or a few mentors as soon as possible, because it truly helps you, give you just some direction and guidance.
Right. It's again, to me, it goes beyond just the educational path in a classroom. It's also the practicality piece as well, and just trying to talk to people who are either in the positions or know someone in the position, just to talk to those things as far as getting your feet wet and asking questions, and kind of like doing the look over the shoulder kind of a thing. This way you can get a better handle and a feel for that kind of a career as to what you might want to do. So that's very important.
Absolutely. All right. So my last question for you is, what advice would you give to young people who will be embarking on their professional lives soon?
I think I alluded to a little bit before, but I'll expand on it. Was mostly about trying to find that good career path. Of course, everybody wants to be happy at work, everybody wants to have that success. And I allude back to what I spoke about before, about the whole problem solving aspect of things, which to me is the most important part of why I got into information technology. But I think what one has to do is, find that passion of what's going to make you happy. But of course, on the other hand, you also want to look at where you want to live, and also what's the pay scale. Of course, you can't deny that the financial aspect of things, of course, has to drive you as far as what you think, a good career path is going to be. But on the other hand, you also want to be happy. So it's a fine balance sometimes as to what you want to go after for a career. But I do say that is to, when you're in high school, especially junior and senior years, is to do your own homework. Okay. Mentioned before about getting that mentor. Okay. But find out a lot about careers. Okay. Talk to people in those careers. It's very, very important. And do your homework and make sure that you're happy with what you want to do, and understand the educational path. It might be more than just the 4 years of a bachelor degree. It might be that, an extra 2-4 years of, graduate work that you might have to take on. A lot of careers end up, of course, in that path. In fact, from my personal perspective, I have 2 daughters who are actually are physical therapists, and I was extremely happy the fact that both of them actually knew in high school this is what they wanted to do. And it was quite the lengthy careers. One of them, I show you education, I'd say. One of them was 6.5 years at the time. They don't no longer have that program. And the other is 7 years. So one of them does pediatric physical therapy, works with children. And then my younger one actually is in the sports world. So she's actually works for a college football team as a physical therapist / athletic trainer. So, but again, that was their choice. It made me quite happy, the fact that they knew at that age what they wanted to do, and they took the time to research that. That's what I would say. It's just have that passion, do your own research, get mentors, and try and get your feet wet in those respective areas, but make sure you feel comfortable in that. And whatever educational path you want to take, I think it'll guide you to a successful career. So hopefully that helps.
Yes, that was amazing advice. Thank you so much, Marty. And
You're
thank you
quite
for
welcome.
being here and sharing everything
Anytime.
that you shared.
I'm glad. Hopefully I helped a little bit, and give some people some, a little bit of oomph and to feel good about what they want to do. So,
Absolutely.
okay. Okay. All right.